I was waiting for Tom Block. Today is a really big day for Shawnee County, and it's a particularly big day for our Public Works Department. So I'd like Tom Block to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this morning.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the August 28, 2017 meeting of the Shawnee County Board of Commissioners. My name is Bob Archer. I currently serve as chair of the commission and represent District 3 alongside Commissioner Shelley Bueller, who represents District 1, and Commissioner Kevin Cook, who represents District 2. Welcome. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
First item of business, please.
First item is under proclamations presentations. Number one, presentation on the 2016 financial audit by Kristen Hughes, RSM US LLP.
Good morning, Betty Greiner, Director of Administrative Services. I am just going to introduce Kristen Hughes. She's from RSM, and they were our auditors for this year, and she'll present our 2016 audit.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good
Nice to
morning.
meet you all. I believe you have the deliverables in front of you, so I will start with the smaller bound one. That's the compliance report. So if you see the one that's titled Compliance Report, I'll start with that document. This goes through, as far as the audit results, this is the compliance report, so it gives information both on the grant funding received by the county in the current year, as well as results on, as far as going through internal controls on financial reporting. So the first couple pages are the opinions we give as it relates to internal controls over both financial reporting on the financial statements as well as the grant work. If you go to page 5 of this document, you'll see this is the county CFA. So this is a recap of the grant expenditures that the county made during the current year as far as federal grant funding received. This is the listing that we take a look at when we're selecting what's called the major programs that we take a look at for single audit work. The major program tested in the current year was the WIC funding. I think pretty consistent. That's usually significant funding for the county. If you go to page 10, really, this is a really good one-page kind of recap of the results of both the financial statement audit and the compliance audit. So starting at the top, here you'll see it recaps the results of the financial statement audit. As far as in the financials, we did issue what's an unmodified or clean opinion, which is the highest opinion we can give in accordance with auditing standards, meaning the financials are presented in accordance with GAAP. As far as internal controls over financial reporting, there was one material weakness noted just due to a restatement that was made in beginning net position for some assets captured from prior years. So you'll see a little bit really on the next page, actually a little more detail on that, but just that item was noted. Significant deficiency, there was just one for retainages payable, just kind of a process we worked through with management as far as making sure those costs are properly captured in the fund that's paying for those costs on the construction projects. No material noncompliance was noted, though, as it related to the financials. Next, the federal awards, you'll see this is a recap here. There were no material weaknesses, significant deficiencies, or compliance findings noted as it relates to the federal awards or how those grant dollars were spent. Again, as I noted, the WIC program was the program we looked at. That was approximately 30% coverage of total expenditures on the CFA. The county is required to have 20%, so that was the major program looked at. So as I noted, there's a little bit more additional information there as far as the findings, but that's a pretty good recap there of kind of the financial statement and compliance results. Next, I was going to have you take a look at the stapled document. This is what we call required communications. Auditing standards require us to go through a few topics with you as the board as far as results from the audit. So here in this stapled packet, you'll see this just provides a reminder of the responsibilities that we're following under the audit, and really those are all laid out in the arrangement letter that was signed before the audit was started. So it just kind of recaps for you the standards that we follow, and then also the responsibilities of management and those charged with governance over the financial statements as well. At the bottom of this page, you'll see we kind of recap if there's any significant accounting policies or estimates, just so you know areas that we're taking a look at as part of the audit. Significant estimates are areas that have a component of management subjectivity, so we take a look at those areas and make sure management's following the policies that were put in place at the county. And those areas were noted to be consistent with both management's policies and really what we'd expect to see in the industry. On the next page, if there's any audit adjustments, both those proposed by us and the county, we go ahead and recap those in here for you, so you can see if there was any adjustments from the original trial balance we received at the start of the audit compared to what was in the final financial statements. So you'll see those summarized in this document. There were no uncorrected misstatements. Those are usually if any immaterial items are noted that we want to report to you, but they're not reflected in the financials, and there were none this year. Also attached in this document, you're provided with a copy of any written communications between ourselves and management, which is the management rep letter. So it goes through a few pages, but really it's summarizing that both the financial statements and the information we were provided during the audit is complete and accurate to the best of management's knowledge. So you'll see a copy of that provided in this as well. The large bound document is the audited financial statements themselves. It's quite a bit of information, so I won't go through it in detail, but just kind of as a point of reference for a few items in here. As I mentioned, on pages 1 and 2, you'll see the independent auditor's report. So again, this is our audit opinion that we give. You'll see that it was an unmodified or clean opinion. Starting on page 3, you'll see management's discussion and analysis. This is a good few pages that I point people to. This is where management goes through and analyzes for significant accounts or transactions how the results of 2016 compare to 2015. So this is where they've kind of gone through and provided a recap of if there was any significant fluctuations in revenue or expense categories year over year. So this is a good analysis to look at from that perspective. On page 15, you'll see this is where the actual audited financial statements themselves are. You've got the primary government, which is the county as a whole. And then on page 17 is where you have each of the individual funds reported at the fund level, consistent with the level at which they're budgeted. As far as the footnotes, I don't think you'll see really any significant changes if you compared the financials to what you'd see in the prior year. On page 50, we were just going to note there's... as we noted, there was a restatement of beginning fund balance, and this just provides some information on that and the reason for that transaction. And then in footnote 13, you'll see the management also provided some information on the change in the health clinic, since that was, kind of a significant impact as far as the health fund in the county's financials. Other than that, like I said, I think you'll see that most of the footnote information is very consistent with what you've seen in prior years. And then at the back of the document, you'll just see for all of the county's non-major funds, again, all the funds presented individually in the combining schedules in the back. Any questions for me? I know that was quick, but it's kind of hard to go through these in detail. But certainly if there's any questions for me on either the financial statements or the audit, I'm happy to go through those.
Questions, Commissioner Cook?
I have none.
Questions, Commissioner Bueller?
This is the first time, though, we have...
Yes, this is our first year doing the audit. We do give feedback. Certainly management, Betty's group was very helpful in the process. It's not easy switching to new auditors in the first year. We're asking for a lot of really first-time information. Their department was very helpful in going through that for the first time, again, because, we're new. Our firm audits a lot of government entities, but obviously we're new to Shawnee County, so there was, a lot of additional work for them on the front end, but they were very accommodating during the process, so.
Great, thank you.
Thank you much. Have a good day.
Thank you. One thing I wanted to point out is that some people have accused us of being financially conservative and consistently building our reserves year after year. And I guess we're guilty. But I go into the audit report, and on page 48, under risk management, it says the county is exposed to various risks of loss due to torts, theft of, damage to, and destruction of assets, business interruptions, errors and omissions, employee injuries and illnesses, natural disaster, and employee health, dental, and accident benefits. So we manage our risks, and that's why we've increased our reserves significantly, and that's why we manage our business conservatively. So thank you for the audit report.
Thank you.
It's appreciated. Next item, please.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Could I ask that somebody accept the audit report, so that would, this will be the official acceptance
Okay,
of...
I'll make a motion to accept.
A second.
Motion made to accept the audit report by Commissioner Archer, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item 3, consent agenda.
Questions or comments on the consent agenda?
Have no questions on the approval.
Second.
Motion made to approve the consent agenda by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item 4, new business, A, County Clerk, number 1, consider all voucher payments.
Commissioners, this morning we have vouchers that total $1,155,625.81. The highlights out of the voucher report: payroll of $518,281.76. Disbursements to the district court, $103,958. Holding accounts for motor vehicle fund with the state of Kansas, $115,269.52. Health insurance premiums of $161,984.85. And then public works of $75,936.95. I do not have any questions regarding the reports, and I would move for their approval.
Second.
Motion made to approve the voucher payments by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item A2, consider correction orders.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item B, Public Works Solid Waste, number 1, consider approval of change order number 1, final to contract C-142-2017 with Ebert Construction Company, Inc., increasing the contract price by $9,379.92 for a final contract amount for construction of $259,846.42 for the Southeast Tecumseh Road Bridge over Stinson Creek project.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tom Block with Public Works and Solid Waste. This is a Public Works item, and as mentioned in the memo, this is the final, I guess, the only change order we have for this project, which is to account for all the final quantities for this project. The main change in this for this change order, the reason we're having an increase is we got to the excavation of the bridge abutments, and the material underneath it was much less stable than we needed for the bridge, so it would not settle. So we had to do quite a bit of over excavation, and then put material in that which would be much more stable to keep the bridge. So even though we have this increase, the project in itself will still finish about $120,000 under the original budget. So even though we never like to see any kind of increase, we're still quite a ways underneath our budget. So we'd recommend approval of this change order to final out the project. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Questions for Tom?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0.
right, thank you.
Thank you very much, Tom. Next item, please.
Item C, Parks and Recreation, number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C-285-2017 with Aspen Fence for the removal, construction, and installation of fence pertaining to the Western Street Fence Project at Ward Mead Botanical Gardens at a cost of $52,000, with funding from the Capital Maintenance Fund and possible support from the Parks and Recreation Foundation, Friends of Ward Mead.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Knight, Parks and Recreation. A request to solicit bids was before you earlier this spring. We've now gone through those bids and have a contract negotiated with Aspen Fence. I'd like to take just a brief second and explain to you, we get a lot of questions about why the foundation pays sometimes and why the department pays sometimes. This is really a good example because any fence is what the Shawnee County taxpayers probably ought to pay for securing the site. Since we're going to go above and beyond just any chain link fence, putting in an iron fence, a lot more decorative, the Friends of Ward Mead, even though it said in the memo that possible support, we did, since this memo was written, that board has met and authorized to pay up to half of that cost. That's why half of the dollars are coming from private dollars and half are coming from the public dollars. That being said, we've got several people here from the Foundation, the Friends of Ward Mead Group, Bob Sodoff and Roger Hauk are both here. Been trying to get this fence in for several months, and also John Bell, who is the county's representative for Old Prairie Town. Be happy to answer any questions. If there are any detailed questions, that's what those three guys are here for.
Questions regarding the fence?
Sure.
Yes.
John, in the memorandum, it says the funding of $52,000, but in the actual contract, it's for $46,800. And just a difference between the two, how do we have the difference in those? And I see Mr. Bell behind you. He probably, I don't know if he has an answer. Or
I sure hope he does.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Bell, Recreation Program Supervisor, Old Prairie Town. And great question. The low bid from Aspen was $46,800, and so that'll be divided in half, essentially. But there is a built-in contingency with this project in case the contractor would run into rock and maybe would have to hand dig some of the poles or posts and some of those types of things. So we anticipate, and hopefully it stays at that 46.8, but there is a built-in contingency, which is I think 5% for this project.
okay,
So.
that answers that.
Very good. Any other questions?
I'll make a motion to approve the contract with Aspen Fence.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
John. Next item, please.
Item D, Commission number 1, consider request for applicants to fill the vacant position of Auburn Township Clerk.
Commissioner Bueller, you
Well,
have...
Commissioners, we've
Items.
normally allowed about 2 weeks for people who are interested to submit their information to the commission, mail at snco.us, and so I think we should follow that as well.
Okay. Agree.
So move to acknowledge that we need to fill the vacant position. Do it that way.
Okay. I'll second. Motion made to approve consideration by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item 5, Administrative Communications.
Betty Greiner, Director of Administrative Services. Just wanted to let you and the public know that the 2018 budgeted expenditures that was approved on August the 17th is now available on the website under the Audit Finance page. And the County Clerk's Office will be posting the 2016 audit report on their webpage.
Very good.
Thank you.
Commissioners, Tom Blanc with Public Works. As Commissioner Archer mentioned at the beginning of this meeting, at noon today, we will be having a ribbon cutting ceremony for the Willard Bridge. It's been a long time coming for this. We are extremely excited to get it to this point. It's going to be, it's just been an amazing project the whole way through. So it's going to be great weather for a great day, and it'll be nice to get it behind us and relieve those who have impacted the most. There's been a huge inconvenience that they've been suffering the last several years, and now we can finally get rid of that for them. So,
And instructions for the media to get there?
yes, we want everyone to come in from the north
Okay.
by way of Rossville. The ribbon cutting will be at the north end of the new bridge. So we will have a podium set there. We'll have a few people speak. And then we will have some staff that will be directing people where to park. We're going to have them basically park along Northwest Carlson Road as they get up to the bridge. When they park, and we just ask them to walk up to the end of the bridge where the asphalt and the concrete meet, is where we'll be having it. And then once we do the ribbon cutting, and then we will basically parade across the bridge. And anyone that's interested, there is a metal building on the southeast corner of the bridge. On the south side of the river, where we basically was our construction shop, our construction trailer. It's not a trailer, it's a building. We had our construction meetings there. But we will have some cake and punch and refreshments there for anyone that wants to stop in and just talk about the project, I guess. So, and we will have sheriff's deputies on either side of the bridge, hoping with the intent of, just keeping everything under control. Hopefully it goes smoothly. It's been stressful, let me tell you.
I don't expect a rowdy bunch, but it's good to know the sheriff's deputies will be there. Commissioner Bueller.
I think in the paper this morning, it said we were walking across the bridge, but we are getting in vehicles and going across.
Yes.
You can walk across on the pedestrian path, but.
If you want to,
plan
yeah,
is-
if they want to, they can, but the plan is
to get in
to,
vehicles and open the bridge. So then after that point, the bridge is open.
yes, yes. Once we get the parade of folks across, the intent would then be to remove the barricades on the south end and then be open.
I just have one question. So I walk in the coffee shop this morning, and they said, well, when's the bridge going to be closed again to take down the old bridge? And I said, well, it's going to be a small amount of time. Can you
Yes,
go over that a
I
little
do not
bit?
know exactly when they are planning on that. What they're doing right now is they are disassembling as much of the bridge as possible before they implode it. So they're taking away the concrete barriers. So I haven't done it myself, but people said if you walk out there, even though it's 24 feet wide, they said it's really nerve-wracking to not have the concrete barriers on the side. So they're taking those barriers down. Then they'll be taking the metal decking off. They're going to be taking as much material off the bridge as they can salvage, and then they will schedule a date for it to be imploded. Now, the new bridge will have to be closed for maybe like a half hour or so at the time the implosion occurs. So we will let everyone know when that's going to be, but it's not going to be closed for days or anything like that. It's just going to be for minutes, and then it's because, as you can imagine, it's quite an explosion to implode a bridge, and there's quite a bit of force. You can't have anyone within, I think, 1,000 or 1,500 feet. Everyone needs to be that far away when the implosion actually occurs. So I do not know when that's necessarily going to be.
But I just wanted to stop the rumor that
Yeah.
it was going to be closed again. It's not. It's for a short amount of time.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, good deal. Thank you.
Yep.
And we talked a little bit, there's no environmental impact of the imploding the old bridge.
No.
I just think that needs to be made clear, too.
No, there is not.
Okay.
The issue with it, the old bridge has lead paint on it, and when we talked about possibly repainting it at one time, you would sandblast that paint off, and the fine particles are what they're concerning, those getting into the environment, into the water, the river. But since we're imploding it, the paint will still be on the bridge, and so there's the bridge will go down the river, and then they will remove the bridge from the river after it's been imploded. So,
Very good, very good.
So still some work to do. But
yes, there
at
is
least
still
the
some
bridge
work
will
to
be
do,
open.
but the bridge will be open. Yep.
Okay, thanks.
Good morning, Commissioners. Justin Gregory, Kansas Expo Center. Sunday was quite the dog and pony show at the Kansas Expo Center. Sorry, I couldn't help that one. Capital City Classic Dog Show wrapped up. Wonderful 2-week event. We loved having them. I did not get to see or hear who the grand champion dog was, but I will get back to you on that. The United States Team Open Midwest Regional Championship was well attended. There were actually a bigger crowd than expected. Following states represented: Colorado, Texas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Illinois, Minnesota, South Dakota, Wisconsin, Iowa, Kansas, Nebraska, and North Dakota. So it was a very, very good turnout. Looking forward to next week, or this week, we hope to, we welcome the Roadrunners. Their first practice is August 31st. I should be ready that morning. And then the following weekend of Labor Day weekend, we are hosting a Cowgirl Tough Barrel Bash in Dome Arena. So, any questions?
Thank you very much.
Right, thank you.
Anyone else?
I'm Carol Marple. First of all, I'd like to say hooray for that Willard Bridge. I'm as excited as anybody. I would like to go back to the audit for a few minutes. Could I ask then, how much does our reserve fund have in it now after the audit? What is the dollar amount?
I'll try to answer that for you. Betty Greiner, Director of Administrative Services. If you look on the audit, if you're looking at countywide, the countywide audit, and if you look at the net position on page 15, the net position for the county, and this is for everything as a whole, is $160 million for the governmental activities, but included in that are all the assets of $139 million, and then all of the other funds that are restricted. So if you look at that, the unrestricted net position, which would mean, it's not allocated to something else or restricted by something else, is $11,943,000. That is for the governmental activities. You add the business activities, which is the solid waste, that is another $6.9 million. So the total unrestricted net position is $18,919,000. Is that the question?
No.
Okay.
I mean, if that's the answer to the question I was asking, we lost money. I wanted to know the cash reserves that the county had. I believe last time we talked, it was $30 million.
Okay, you're talking about the general
General
fund
fund reserve.
balance.
Okay, I don't know all the terminology.
Yeah, there's a lot of different terminology, and that's why
Balance.
if you look at, and I assume you're talking on a budgetary basis. Most government accounting is on a governmental, governmental budgetary basis. That is on page, let me find it. Okay, on page 53, on a budget basis, the fund balance for just the general fund is $33,655,000.
Thank you.
Is that the question you had?
Well, yes and no. Because I was looking at page 3, where it said the general fund balance was an ending balance of $60,527 with an increase of $5,217,596. Is that cash?
Well, with any fund balance, part of it's cash, part of it's assets, part of it is accounts receivable, less liabilities. So that's what a fund balance is. It's not necessarily, at any one time, our cash could actually be higher than that if we've collected real estate taxes that we're holding for other taxing authorities. So that is the reserve balance, but that does not necessarily equate to the cash that is held. Did that make sense at all?
To a point, but as reserve balance, that carries over from year to year to year, correct? You do not dip into the reserve balance without the permission of the commissioners.
Well, that is correct. The only way that the reserves can be dipped into is if they are authorized, budgeted.
By the commission.
By the budget.
Yes, so you have a budget that you passed earlier, which I believe was $106 million. And then you have the reserve funds or assets, which now are $39 million.
Well, let me explain the 39 compared to the 33. There are two general funds, I guess, as you would call it. The general fund that I was referring to is our operating general fund, that is the $33 million. That's what we operate on every day. For accounting purposes, there are several other items that are included in their general fund, which also includes the Parks and Recreation Special Revenue Fund, the revolving fund, the Employee Retirement Fund, which is money we set aside for those payouts for people that retire because they get paid out for vacation and sick leave, and some of the employees have accumulated a lot. So that is $3.3 million right there. And then the West Lawn Cemetery that the county was required to take over, that's also included in that $39 million. That's why there's different numbers.
No, because you have to have those funds, at least the way I'm understanding, you have to have those funds set up and they continue on. The question that I'm asking is the carryover funds that you did not spend out of the budget, that, well, is what the word is, reserve.
Okay.
I mean, does the
I'm
county,
confused. I'm sorry.
well, I am too.
The amount that our,
The county has funds, just like we have I myself has a savings account that is for emergencies, incidentals, risk management, and I would like to know the balance of that.
that would be the 33 million.
33 million. So it did not really raise, or did it go
It
up?
did increase. It did
by $3
increase
million?
because it increased by $3 million because our revenue that came in was higher than we had projected. You know, as we talk about, we try to project those in a conservative manner because we do not want to have a situation where we have, our expenses are high and our revenue is low. So I do try to estimate those in a conservative method. A lot of those estimates come from the state as well. Our revenue did come in higher than we had anticipated. We did spend all of our budgeted expenditures for last year.
So, and this is 2016.
Yes.
So there's a possibility that the reserve fund can be even higher after 2017.
Depending
Could go
on...
either way.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
But I think it's important to remember, though, that we have never passed a budget where estimated expenses exceeded estimated revenues.
Good.
We have always had balanced budgets that we have accepted and
And
approved.
that's very wise.
Okay.
But as a taxpayer, my concern is that the $33 million are taxes that I have paid in, which technically I'm receiving no services for. By the same token, I also say that we need a reserve fund. I have no problem whatsoever. My question is, when do we stop putting into our reserve, or we're leaving a lot of things, what I see, that we have deferred maintenance we need to do. You know, if just $1 million of the reserve fund came back into the general fund and we provided some services that we've taken away or did some reserve maintenance, is that not a good business decision?
I think that's a good point. There is some deferred maintenance that needs to be addressed, but have you heard of Hurricane Harvey?
Yeah, I
Okay.
have.
Just wanted to make sure.
But I don't think that Kansas is in the path of hurricanes too
We're in
much.
Tornado Alley.
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Yes, we are. But, you know, you also have, you guys, the commissioners, have the power to raise our taxes and to lower them. They have consistently raised. Our property values have consistently raised. And I would like to put some money in my reserve fund, but I can't do because I pay my raised taxes. And as again, I have said, I have no problem with a reserve fund. I just want to know when the top is going to be reached.
Good discussion. Commissioner Bueller, do you have a comment?
Commissioners, I know that during our budget hearings, we had discussions on, I think, the last day when Betty was here, talking about our reserves, our deferred maintenance. We've had that discussions. We've started that discussion, but that is one-time money.
Yep.
It doesn't, I mean, our needs for the budgets for the departments came in at almost $109 million. When you have to be able to sustain that. Reserves are exactly for the purpose. I've been here when we've had healthy reserves, and whether it's man-made or natural disasters, they go awfully quick. And the burden on the taxpayers is what we always consider. So I know that we've started those discussions. I know, Commissioner Archer, that you'll put it on the agenda, and we wanted to get budget finished first. but we're certainly going to have those discussions. But it could go awfully quick. And even though we are not in a hurricane path, I think our number one hazard is flooding. So we are one disaster away from using those reserves. And thank goodness we aren't in the path of Harvey, and I feel horrible for those people. I mean, just seeing the images, they're going to deal with that disaster for a long time. It is not just a one-time event and then it's gone. The recovery is what takes forever.
Yes.
So anyway, enough said.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner.
I'm not done.
Oh, okay.
Where is this money? Does it earn interest?
Yes.
Yes, it does.
And does the interest roll back into the fund?
Betty?
The interest is part of our revenue that we estimate each year that is part of that revenue calculation that's part of the budget expenditure calculation.
Okay, I didn't understand, so would you just
Okay.
say yes or no?
Yes.
Does that mean that
Yes, it goes into our current year revenue.
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 So you are spending the interest that comes off the reserve fund?
Yes. It goes into the current year revenue. As
So you
any
are-
accounting, for accounting purposes, all revenue coming in any one year, whether it's from taxes or interest or any other type of revenue, has to be accounted for as revenue for that year.
Correct, but you account for the revenue that you put in the reserve fund also. I'm not an accountant, and you're
Sorry.
you're,
I'm
losing
sorry.
me. I just have to ask general people questions. So
It
that's-
is revenue to the county as it's earned.
Okay, okay. It is not specifically set aside as this is interest off the reserve fund, so why don't we use it?
No,
That's
no,
extra
for
money.
accounting purposes, it can't be.
Okay, okay, okay. Well, I would like to end with the one comment on the risk management and flooding and stuff like that. Most of us buy insurance for that, and that takes away some of the risk. And I don't think the county, if my home floods, which I don't think it will, but if I lived in Rossville, yeah, I'd worry. I have insurance. I wouldn't expect the county to step in and pay for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for administrative discussions this morning? Commissioner Bueller, do you have lunch plans today?
See you at the bridge. Yes. Yeah, definitely. Ready to go.
Very good. Anything else to
No.
discuss?
No.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Cook?
You know, I think that this has been a healthy discussion this
I agree.
morning, but, and I might add that, you know, all of our department heads and all of our departments are available to the public, Monday through Friday, at all times. And I think that if there are questions regarding your appraisal value, questions regarding public health, the Parks and Recreation, Department of Corrections, Audit Finance, we're always accessible from the commissioners to the department heads. And so while we're happy to hear administrative communications and public comment, perhaps if there's questions, those can best be served by contacting the department heads and sitting down with them to go through it. And just that's part of being in Shawnee County, is that we are accessible to the public at all times. And here to answer those questions is available. Now, on a more wider note, I know that Bob Sotoff is at the back. I would be remiss if I didn't say Ward Mead has never looked better than it does right now. And if you don't take the opportunity, you're really missing out on something really, really nice. It is a very beautiful, everything's in bloom and looking really good. The weather's been really great, and with the additions to the Asian garden, I know that Bob and his team and John Bell have worked very tirelessly to improve Ward Mead. So.
And we're just getting started.
So, I'll see you at the bridge.
Very good, Commissioner. I really don't have anything to add. Next item, please.
Item 6, executive session.
There's not a need, so we're officially adjourned. Thank you for coming.